You know, I used to hate mornings, and I don't know why. And so now really the best part of my day is mornings because I get up and do what I love every day. Life is too short to do something you don't want to do. So I grew up in a small town in Illinois called Barry. At the time, population 1,500 people. So we lived in a little 4-room house. My mom, dad, and my 2 brothers. My brothers and I shared a bedroom, so it was pretty tight quarters. But it was great growing up in that town. It was a small Midwest farm town. I knew my parents worked hard. I always knew money was an issue. We didn't go without anything. And in fact, they probably spent more on us than they should. I was at best a B, C student, maybe more towards a C, and I wasn't thinking about the future necessarily because in these small towns, there's not always a future outside of that small town. I can start to point to all sorts of little things that might say, you're an entrepreneur. So one of them, growing up, my best friend and I, Troy, we decided we were going to build a bike shop. So he had an old shed on his parents' property, and so we cleaned it out, and we went and started collecting pieces of bikes, not whole bikes, but pieces of bikes. And so we started going out to junkyards and such, and even asking people, hey, what are you going to do with that old bike? And so we started collecting these things, and we would piece them together and make whole bikes. And so our idea was we were going to build these bikes and sell them.
We would do a little bit of trading here and there for whatever we needed. Not much money exchange, I don't think. That didn't last very long, but it kept us busy for a while.
So the Army recruiter was knocking on my door. First time I had somebody saying they wanted me to come work for them. And so I was looking at this, I was looking at the GI Bill, and I thought, wow, this might be a way to get out of Barry and to go to college. And so at the same time, a DeVry recruiter had come to our school. I kind of put that together, and I thought, wow, I could go maybe to the Army Reserves, get the GI Bill, and go to college. And so that's what I did. And then I came and moved to Kansas City in 1987 and attended DeVry. And while I wasn't a great high school student, at DeVry I made straight A's. It was something I wanted to do, something I was passionate about.
He was just a different person. He had more drive and more ambition to get out there and do something. And he told me then, he said, Mom, someday I'm going to be a millionaire. And I said, you think so? I never dreamed. And he said, yeah, someday I'm going to be a millionaire. You wait and see. And, well, you know the story.
Occasionally I see the country come out once in a while, and I have to remind myself I'm not in the country anymore. But I felt like I grew up a ton once I got here and got into Kansas City. And then my first job when I got to Kansas City and started school at DeVry was at Kmart. And in the first 2 months, I became Employee of the Month at Kmart. So yes, I was Employee of the Month at Kmart. Ultimately, I started Fishtech Consulting in June of 1996. And not knowing that security on the internet was going to be kind of a big deal. And so I started Fishtech Consulting, but a couple years in, started realizing, hey, this internet thing's taken off, and security is a real problem. And so I went as far as to actually change the name of the company from Fishtech Consulting to Fishtech Security. Because my idea was you have to be focused. And consulting was too broad of a term. And so if I was going to do internet security, now we call it cybersecurity, I wanted to focus. So I made the name of the company focused on that. And so I made that switch, and people thought I was crazy. So when I started my first business, I had a lofty goal of building $1 million business. It ended up being almost an $800 million business before we sold it. I think it's very important for entrepreneurs to tell stories and talk about the past and talk about the silly, funny things you did in the past when you were building your business. And I told my staff when we started Fishtech Labs, I said, these things might seem kind of small and minute now, but I know from building these other businesses that someday you're going to look back at them and really look at them fondly. And so I said, take note of every little milestone that we achieve. Along the way, we've had all sorts of interesting furniture, and at one time used a refrigerator box for a desk. And I remember my first office, we thought we had really made it when we were able to get a soda machine put in our break room. I thought success was finite. I think I thought, I want to be successful, and when I get there, I'll be done. And it's not that way. And so you can feel successful, but I don't know if I will ever feel completely successful, because I think that you always have more potential to unlock. I hope that someday people remember me as someone that created opportunities in Kansas City that previously didn't exist. And so I would really love to help put Kansas City on the map from a technology standpoint. I thought I would get a sense at some point of, and maybe it'll happen someday, but of, okay, I'm done now. I've done all I can do, I'm done now. But I don't have that sense, and I never got that sense. And I don't know if true entrepreneurs ever are able to be done.